Hello, welcome back, lovely people. My name's Andy Strong. You're here on the Fundamentally Fit podcast with episode number 3. Yes, number 3. We are flying through, and today we're talking about superfoods and empty pockets. Yes, how super are superfoods, and just how much are they really costing the average individual? How necessary is that? But before we get into that, it has been an absolute roaster this past week. 33 degrees, I think, was the peak we had here in Walton. It certainly was very toasty. It was hard going for training. It was hard going for clients. If you managed to train this week, well done. I hope you kept it safe. Hope you got plenty of water in. Best thing to do when it's like this is just train earlier in the day. That is the coolest part of the day. But if you didn't manage to do any training, or if you didn't manage to get out and enjoy it, I hope you weren't sat in an office looking longfully out the window. All those other people who were skiving off work to go sunbathe and enjoy the sunshine. I hope you did manage to get out, get some walking done, and enjoy a little bit of sunshine, because who knows how long it's gonna last. Probably not very long. So yes, today we've got a couple of topics we're going to be diving into. Superfoods and empty pockets. We're kicking off. So if you're sat down, maybe you're on a train, maybe you're listening to this on your Bluetooth speaker in your office, wherever you are. I hope you're sat down. I hope you're comfortable. I hope you get yourself a cup of tea, and that's quite important for today's podcast. You need a good cup of tea. And if you're wondering to yourself, well, my builder's tea, it's not really cutting it for me. I've been drinking it forever. Maybe you're thinking, well, my green tea's nice, but it's just got antioxidants in it. I need a bit more. I need something else. I need something to uplift this a little bit further. I need to take my tea to a brand new level. I need something a little bit more dulcey. No. I need something a little bit more kelpy. Yes, kelpy. We are talking about kelp and seaweed-based teas. Apparently, they are really good for you. We shall dive in and find out. But yes, we're talking about kelp-based tea, seaweed-based tea. This is a fun little article. I had a big smile when I found this one. And then I'm going to give you a rundown on the 2017 top 5 superfoods that apparently you all need to be eating in 2017 if you're to be deemed as super fit and healthy. I should question that one. And we're going to be seeing the benefits of these superfoods, and if you really do need to be including them into your diet. Now, kicking off today's podcast, we're talking about kelp tea. So I found this particular little article in the pressherald.com, which is an American website based in Portland, and this chap called Josh Rogers, and I think it's a fun little story, just because it's a bit weird. And the headline on this website, and I say the American websites are much better for this type of thing, drinking seaweed is not weird anymore, apparently, according to our main man, Josh Rogers. Okay, so drinking seaweed is not weird anymore. I'm pretty sure it is, but I'm going to bite and I'm going to have a read. So Josh was growing up in Auburn, in America, and he snacked on dulse, which is a type of seaweed. He did this as he was growing up, even though his friends, he says, were used to eating potato chips. He said he liked nothing more than tucking into a little bit of kelp and a little bit of seaweed. I don't really know how that works either, because at what point does a child decide to themselves, this is slimy and a little bit wet, pop that in my mouth and have a chew? I don't know how that comes about, but there we go. Josh got into his seaweed early. Good for him. And I'm telling a bit of a porcupine there. I know how he got into it. Josh got into his seaweed because he was introduced to it by his grandparents. Now, while I'm having quite a lot of fun with the concept of seaweed tea and seaweed-based foods, seaweed actually is having, I want to call it a revival, but seaweed's actually having its own moment in the sun. Seaweed is becoming quite the popular health food in 2017. If you haven't seen already, you're going to be seeing a lot more of it, and probably even after hearing this podcast, you'll suddenly realise it's been around you for a little while, and it's one of those foods that are on the periphery. Seaweed's got a lot of health benefits to it. In 2011, there was a review of over 100 studies that have been carried out into seaweed, published in the American Journal of Agriculture. and food chemistry, and it reported that many of the seaweeds may help to lower blood pressure, promote heart health, and their studies concluded that seaweed contains proteins that are very similar to the peptides you'd find in milk products, and so it can act in a very similar way as an ACE inhibitor drug, which is what we use to help control blood pressure. Now, the main benefits of this are it's readily available, it's agriculturally speaking, it's going to be a lot less damaging to the environment, it's going to be easier to feed a growing population, and it's actually been found in Asian cooking and European medicine for a long time. So it's maybe not as weird as I'm making out. It's maybe a little bit more odd in the UK. It's certainly not something that's a main staple of our diets, but back to our main man, Rog. So he says, in the 90s, edible seaweed started showing up everywhere in the food stores. Now, it's everywhere now, or starting to become everywhere now, but back then, the kind of thing you'd know it for would be nuri, which would be the kind of seaweed they'd wrap around your sushi. So even if you think, oh, this one's a bit weird for me, you're probably a bit more aware of it than you realise. Now, Rog then decided he was going to move over to New York, and he decided that he was going to start ordering in his seaweed on the internet, which I just think is a great idea. I can imagine that little package turning up, and then he opens it, and instead of bubble wrap popping out, it's just like little bits of seaweed. But he decided he just wasn't getting enough of his kelpy goodness, and he decided that it was time to come up with his own range of special seaweed-based tea. So that's what he did. He started experimenting with different flavours, balances of teas, and he said the most difficult part was getting all the steeping times right, which I just think is awesome, because I can imagine all these little teacups lined up in his kitchen, and him and his wife with lots of little timers going off, and just thinking like, no, more dose in that one. Totally overdone the kelp, way too much nuri in that one. So yeah, I quite liked that. But yes, he's made his teas. They're all loose leaf teas. It cost you about $9 to $12 a packet. And he basically says that his range contains four different types of tea. Okay. We've got Great Wave, which is a blend of green tea that's meant to taste like kelp and green tea, and it's meant to make you feel like you're by the beach, which is nice. I don't know if you've ever wanted to drink that feeling of being by the beach. I mean, I grew up by the seaside, so I know that seaside strong seaweed fresh smell. I don't know that I'd want that in a cup. But there we go. Second tea in Roger's range is the Sea Smoke, and this is a blend of lapsang and smoked dulse, and it's Roger's favourite. He says it's like camping by the ocean. So if you've ever wanted a cup of camping by the ocean, check it out. And Rog loves this one with milk. Then we've got Sailor's Cure-All, which is a blend of ginger, turmeric and bladderwrack, and this aids digestion and is anti-inflammatory apparently. And then finally we have my favourite of all of them, and it's the three main reasons I picked out this article. It's a little bit odd. The name of this tea and the name of the range. Okay, so the name of this tea is called Toasty Coasty. Okay, it's a mix of toasted rice and kelp, contains no caffeine. It's meant to mimic a Japanese tea made with roasted brown rice. So yes, hashtag Toasty Coasty. And this whole range is called Cup of Sea. Absolutely, go for it, Rog. I like it. So Cup of Sea for your kelp-based seaweed teas. So if you're interested in those, go over to cupofsea.me. It's not an endorsement. Just obviously, no, I'm not making this one up really. So yeah, apparently, drinking seaweed is not weird anymore. So when I was researching, and this might seem a bit left field, a bit odd that I've started with this, but when I was researching what I was going to talk about this week in this week's podcast, and I came across our main man Roger's blend of kelp-based teas, I thought, well, not only is that weird, despite what he says, not only is that a bit weird, it's a great example of some of the very odd and unusual things we're prepared to eat, drink and do in the name of what we perceive to be good health practice or good nutritional and diet practice. So I decided that, well, actually, maybe kelp tea is a bit difficult for some people to get on board with. What are the big trends in 2017? And then I went away and I did a little bit more research, and I managed to find a list of this year's top 5 superfoods, and I'm going to talk you through what they are now. I'm going to give you a rundown of how much they're going to damage your pocket, and then I'm going to draw a few conclusions on superfoods in overall, in general, and my thoughts on how important they are to actually having a beneficial, healthy diet, and how much you really need to be worrying, or how much you need to be investing in them. The answer's not as much as you think. But do stay to the end, because there's a much better conclusion than just that. Right, so let's kick off. This list came from The Guardian. It was an article that they did in January 2017. If you head over to our YouTube channel, hello, I'm waving to our YouTube people. If you head over to our YouTube channel, I'm going to put all the links to these articles on the description there. If you do want them, pop an email to me, andy@fundamentally.fit.co.uk, and I will happily send those back to you. But we're going to kick off. Number 5. Number 5's health food of 2017. Algae fats. Sorry, that's a tumbleweed blowing through my office. Yes, algae fats is the number 5 top superfood of 2017. You may be aware of this a little bit more than you might think. So spirulina is a type of algae, and this one's been around a long time. It is price-wise, it's coming down a little bit. It's no less palatable though. So it's very difficult to basically put into anything. It sends everything that you do with it into this deepest, darkest green. It's very bitter tasting. It's very difficult to cover up with the flavour of anything, and it kind of sticks to your teeth as well. But apparently, it has lots of health benefits. But algae fats in general, this is an interesting one. I need to do a little bit of research on this. So I popped it into Google, and the very first thing that came up for algae fats was biofuel. So I'm going to let you draw any conclusions you want on that one. I'm not getting involved. But this is an interesting one, strangely enough. Not for the general pops. Okay, so not the general population. You guys don't worry about this one, in my opinion. This is a little bit more for the vegetarians, and specifically more for the vegans, because vegans struggle to get enough omega-3s, and these are what are known as EPAs and DHAs, which are types of fatty acids. And basically, they would normally get these from oily fish. That's where the general population gets those from. So eat your oily fish, your salmon, your mackerel. If you get those, you don't need these. You're golden, 2 portions a week, and everybody is happy. But oily fish, important part of your diet. If you're a vegan and you're not eating your fish, or you're a vegetarian who maybe doesn't eat fish, depending on what type of diet you're following and how strict you're being, then essential fatty acids are really important, and algae fats may be a way to do that. Typically for vegans, they would get these from flax seeds, and actually this opportunity to have a soft gel capsule as a way of getting in your good fats, not a bad idea. How well tested these are, I don't know. How effective they are at the moment, I don't know. I couldn't draw those conclusions, but algae fats is our number 5. These are going to set you back 200 grams of spirulina, or 30 soft gel capsules. This can set you back about £7.55. So not extortionate, but better for individuals who have a specific dietary need, because this really is a supplement. So this is a replacement in the simplest sense. If you're not eating your fish, then you need to get in those omega-3s and those important essential fatty acids. This may be a good option, but I would do a little bit more research to make sure that it's sound, depending on which products you're finding. I couldn't review any because they were very tough to actually come across any. So I think this is probably very early in its recommendation stage, and that's always a tricky place to be. Next, we have nut oils. So 2016 was packed full of nut oils. It was a nut butters. It was a very nut butter heavy year. Every nut in close proximity to a press was turned into a butter. It was blitzed, and it was popped into a very wholesome green lidded looking jar. Not naming any brands. Probably know who I'm talking about. And it was not a good year for Sunpat, let's just say that. Yeah, my childhood years of reading. Oh, I liked this last year because everyone was into nut butters, and then suddenly realised, it's probably not Sunpat. The old argument of crunchy versus smooth has suddenly gone by the wayside. It's all about how pure your nut butter is. Nut oils, they're a big thing this year. They basically, there's a nice kind of reasoning behind this, or there's an aspect to this I quite like. So they're not good for cooking, because if you cook with them, they will damage the fat. They're packed full of good fats or unsaturated fats, but they're very pungent. They're very strong flavour, and the idea is you only need to use them sparingly, which is a really cool thing. I like that idea of balance. A little bit of everything is a good thing. The calories will be high though, because these are oils and they're fats. So same for nut butters. Fats contain 9 calories per gram compared to proteins and carbohydrates, which are both 4 calories per gram. So if your fat is high, whether it is good fat or bad fat, your calories will be high as well. Lots of different benefits from having good fats in your diet. Generally speaking, these would be things like improved cardiovascular health, improved skin and hair, as well as many other benefits to the body. Oh, hello. There we go. Yes, so nut oils, try them out. Macadamia is just one example, and basically 100 mils of macadamia cold pressed. So basically, these are cold pressed oils. Sorry, these are cold pressed oils, which is quite important because they put them in a big pot with a screw handle on the top, which presses them down, and then basically it crushes the nuts until the oil's released out the bottom. This creates slight friction but not heat. You can heat your oils, but that damages the fat, and the idea of these is they're meant to preserve as much of that healthy good fat goodness as possible. But these are expensive, so 100 mils of macadamia cold pressed oil will cost you £12.99. The important thing about this is prices vary a lot depending on which nut oil you're buying, but the concept is you don't need to use very much, but that is a hefty price tag. So again, have to question if this one's really essential for good health. Nice to have maybe, but is it essential? That's the big question. Moving on to number 3, the first one that I'm going to pronounce wrong on our list today, we have the chaga mushrooms. Now, the chaga mushrooms are somewhat magical, somewhat mythical. They come from Russia, and they're a weird looking mushroom. They kind of look a little bit like a truffle, I guess. And humans, they've made lots and lots of very, very bold claims about these mushrooms. Okay, so they've made lots of claims about them being very, very good for boosting your immune system. There's lots of bold claims about them being good at fighting cancer. However, clinical trials are needed to confirm chaga mushrooms' safety and effectiveness for these uses. In addition to this, chaga mushrooms may interact with some drugs, and it may prevent the absorption of some nutrients and can be toxic in high doses. That was the recommendation that I'd found on one particular medical website. So, chaga mushrooms. Typically, they come in a tea-based form. I would do your research on these, and you're gonna want to shop around, because 20 of your chaga mushroom tea bags are gonna set you back. Wait for it, sit down, because you're gonna need to. 20 tea bags, chaga mushrooms, £30. That's all right. Dramatic silence. That was. Yes, £30 for 20 tea bags. I don't know what else goes into these. Possibly flaked gold, I don't know. Bloody well better be. Let's come in like Diamante lined tea bags for that. But yes, £30 for 20 tea bags. I mean, I'm drinking green tea right now. I'm a bit of a. I've left the tea bag and I'm not that bothered. It just gets really strong. I mean, I don't know what the standard policy for chaga mushroom tea bags is on using them twice, because I feel like they're going to need to be kind of wrung out for all their goodness. But yeah, £30 for 20 tea bags. That is a lot of money. Again, you have to really question how important that is in your diet, and how much you believe the bold claims they're making. Now, I'm not saying that none of the claims they're making are not true. But what I am saying is that is a lot of money to invest, and you have to question, are you ever going to buy more than one box? And if you're not ever going to buy more than one box, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a little bit me that's curious. I'd quite like to try a chaga mushroom tea just to know why the hell it's so expensive, but I'm not going to spend that much. I can't imagine I'm going to be seeing this next to Kelp Tea, Toasty Coasty in Starbucks next time I go down the road. But hey, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, that's quite an investment in your health, without the significant studies to back it up. Number 2 on our list, we're flying through, we're nearly there. Number 2 on our list, we've got watermelon seeds. $3.99 for 400 grams, so much more affordable. These are much easier. They contain magnesium. They contain, which is good for the body's metabolic function. Which is also good for maintaining nerve and muscle function, as well as your immune system, your heart function, and bone health. They're high in protein. They're high in good fats. They contain minerals, as we said, such as magnesium. And so, yes, these are quite an easy addition, to be perfectly honest. You do need to eat quite a few to get any specific health benefits from them, and they do carry quite a lot of calories as well, which is mostly due to the fat content. So 1 cup would contain roughly 340 grams, which is roughly 600 calories, or 176 calories per 100 grams. So that's a reasonable amount of calories. So these aren't calorie-free seeds. Remember, there are no free foods. But this is quite an easy one to add to your seed mix, which is what I have. I've got a big Kilner jar in my cupboard, which is full of like goji berries, flax seeds, sunflower seeds, and easy to chuck in some watermelon seeds. Mix them all up. Top out your Greek yogurt with it. Add it to your protein bars. A great easy thing to do. Affordable, $3.99 for 400 grams. If you want to add this one in, go for it. No problems. Easily done. Do you need to? Not if you're getting a well balanced diet. No, but this one certainly isn't going to break the bank. But just bear in mind, they are with all seeds and nuts. They come with a lot of calories as well. So it's really important to remember that fact. So you're probably wondering, what's number 1 on the list? What is the number 1 health food for 2017? And it is actually the second one on the list that I can't pronounce. So number 1 is the Maqui berries. Okay, so these are chillian berries that are high in vitamin C and antioxidants. They're purple, and I'm not sure, but they're a very similar purple to beetroot. So if you eat too many of these, you might get a shock next time you go to the toilet. So yeah, bear that in mind, and maybe don't panic too much. But they do have a very, very high concentration of antioxidants. They're also rich in vitamin C, but then again, so are strawberries and blueberries, just to a slightly lesser extent. But they are also a lot cheaper than Maqui berries. Maqui berries will set you back £13 for 100 grams, or £17.99 for 250 grams on Amazon. So yes, these are very, very expensive little berries, and they do make some bold claims about cardiovascular health, but more studies are needed, and they are still expensive considering that they're not conclusive. So we have our Kelp Tea. We have our Toasty Coasty, we have our Kelp Tea, and we have our list of top 5 health foods. But here's the thing, okay? Here's the point of today's podcast. These are health foods, these are superfoods. I don't really like the word superfood. There are no superfoods, is the simple thing, okay? These superfoods are the only thing these superfoods are really good at is they are super at emptying out your wallet and your pockets simultaneously. Lots of them come with many bold claims, lots of people claiming that they've done wonderful things. Some can be backed up, some can't. The reality, however, is that these foods are not essential. There are no foods that are super or better than others. A balance in your diet is more important. You don't need to eat these foods to have a well-balanced diet. Now, many of these foods, in fact all of these foods, if you choose to include them in your diet to improve the quality of your diet and your health, that's a cool thing. That's to be commended if that's something you want to do. If you like to experiment, I always advise that. I think that's great when clients like cooking new things, trying new ingredients, but it doesn't have to be restricted to just those things that we're being told are super, super beneficial. You know what? Carrots, bananas, pears, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, all of these different things carry these vitamins, these antioxidants, these good fats, these healthy benefits to the body. And actually, if we just got a better cross section, if we ate the rainbow of colour, as simple as that, ate lots of different variations, if we ate seasonal, we would get the benefits of having a better, improved quality of diet. And actually, that would be better for everybody. Most people that I work with have a reasonable starting point with their nutrition. Whether they are eating well or not, they have a good idea of where they should be moving to. I've not met anybody that knows nothing at all. Even you guys out there that think, I'm rubbish, I know nothing. Actually, it's not really what you know, it's just the confidence of implementing it that I tend to find. And actually, superfoods and lists like these pull people away from where they should be focusing. And here's the simple thing. So and I see this quite often, if you can Tell me the health benefits of the latest superfood like the Maqui berry, down to the vitamins, the vitamin content and the antioxidant content, and what is better, what superfood it is better than. You should equally at the same time be able to tell me the sugar, fat and calorie content of a Cadbury's chocolate bar. You should be able to tell me how much calories and fat are in a share bag of crisps, because so often these are the things that come through in food diaries, and actually people don't realise, they don't know how to read the labels or don't take the time to read the labels effectively enough, and actually you will get so much more benefit in your diet from addressing your portion control and intake of those other foods, and then improving the quality of just your basic diet around 5 a day before you even started tackling these other types of health foods. Now, for example, if we took a share bag of crisps, this one comes up quite often. They don't get shared very much, and that's okay. Food diaries are food diary. Our habits are our habits. People come to me to help change, and that's cool. There's never any judgment. But a share bag of crisps will set you back just under 1,000 calories. A packet of 5 cookies that come in the little paper bags that you'll get from the supermarket that get baked in store. I see those get regularly eaten by one individual in one sitting or over a day if they're in an office. They're going to set you back a couple hundred calories each, or 1,000 calories a bag. That's without the astronomical amounts of sugar and fat that comes with it as well. But if you know the calorie intake of your acai berry, then that's okay, right? Okay. If you know that you're getting extra antioxidants and vitamin C, who cares what's in your cookie, right? And that's the thing. And I'm not having a go at you guys, because actually there's a lot of marketing goes into this to make you want to buy these foods, to make you think that this is the magic bullet, that this is the one thing that's going to undo all of the confusion. It's going to overcome all of those areas that you do struggle. But the reality is it really can't, and it really won't. It's an addition. It's a piece of the puzzle, yes. But to be honest, it's the last piece of the puzzle. So focus on the things that you can do. And as we sit in today, let's have a quick rundown. We've got our Maqui berries, £13 for 100 grams. We've got our mushroom tea, which is £30 for 20 tea bags. Here's the thing. That level of investment required, how likely are you to replace that mushroom tea? How likely are you to buy Maqui berries for 12 months and make that a regular part of your diet? Some of you out there, you will. That's cool. That's your prerogative. But for most people who don't have the massive money to invest, they've got a family to look after, they've got a job that maybe doesn't pay them as much as they want to, yet they want to look after their health, Maqui berries may feature once, and then that'll be it. If you change your diet and you focus on the basics, your 5 a day, maybe 7 a day, getting more water, improving the balance of your carbs, proteins and fats so that it fits your lifestyle, not eating too many carbs on days you're less active, eating a bit more protein, and then eating a little bit more carbohydrate on those days when you are active. Those are much easier, better balances to make that will have a bigger impact on how you feel, how your diet works for you, and how much vitamins you're getting and how your nutritional balance is working. But if you make, let's say, 3 changes, you get your water intake bang on, 1.5 to 2 litres a day. You get your 5 a day spot on for the next 6 to 12 months, and then on top of that, you decide you're going to reduce your takeaway intake and you stop eating your takeaways. Now, those 3 changes, if they stick for 12 months, will have a lasting impact on your health. You'll be able to notice the difference in 3 months, in 6 months, and in 12 months and beyond if you make those changes. They are significant changes that will improve your cholesterol, your blood pressure, how you feel, how much energy you've got. If you have Maqui berries and you use them over a 3 or 4 week period, but you never replace them, they've made no lasting impact to your health, they've made no lasting impact to your diet, and you've just spent a lot of money which you could have invested in some smaller, more manageable change. So, superfoods and empty pockets is the topic for today's podcast. It was in danger of turning into a rant, but I've refrained. I've reined myself in. But yeah, tell us what you think of our top 5. Which would you most like to try? And if you're wondering, and I know you all are, the hell happened to Toasty Coasty? You never made it into the top 5. So we're going to get that trending. Hashtag Toasty Coasty for the 2018 top superfoods on the Guardian's list. So the Guardian, if you're listening, go check out my main man Rog. Hashtag Toasty Coasty. But yes, that is all we've got time for today. I do hope you'll come back and join us next week for episode 4. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please head over to iTunes, share it with your friends, give us a review, let us know what you think. If you've got any questions, pop them over to Andy at Fundamentally Fit. Happy to do a Q&A in a few weeks' time. Happy to take your questions. But until then, enjoy the rest of the sunshine. Have a great weekend. And yes, I'm Andy Strong, helping you to eat smart, train smart, and stay fundamentally fit. I will see you next time.